You can't talk about football without showing love to the offensive line. That's why we go through the trenches, we go in the defense, we give you guys the positions that don't get enough love throughout the year. And now we're going to give you guys our top 10 for all the positions across the offensive line. Some guards, some tackles, a couple of centers on the list. Twan, anyone just missed for you?
Couple guys did. Rashawn Slater, Andrew Thomas, Morgan Moses.
Okay. All missed my list. Lane Johnson just missed my list.
Lane Johnson's not on my list either.
Joel Bitonio just missed my list.
Joel Bitonio missed for me as well.
And Joe Thuney just missed my list.
Also missed for me. All right, we're on a good start here.
Yes,
we're on a
very good start.
here.
At 10, new name, new face. Welcome, Los Angeles Rams guard, Steve Avila. He's a dog getting drafted to the Rams. There were high expectations. We saw what that ground game was like this year with Kyron Williams. And this is a huge name that's going to be, recognized as one of those top offensive linemen for years to come. I think this dude has strong ability to move whoever's in front of him, whether he's pulling, whether he's pass protecting, does a great job. Steve Avila, huge part of the Rams, having a great year this year at 10.
Solid. Love giving love to the rookie, so that's a big play. At 10, now my
No
list.
Avila?
No Avila.
You like the name, though?
Love the name. Definitely considered it. It's hard because we're doing all offensive linemen, not just interior, not just exterior. There's a mix of everyone in here. And it's hard to measure success with these guys. So if there are names on this list you don't like, you can have at it because I'm willing to take it. It was a difficult list to pull together. I think there's a ton of names that can be on this list. How do you measure the success? I'm going at 10 with Terron Armstead. He gave Tua a lot of time in the pocket to throw, and Tua needed time in the pocket, kept him safe. Didn't see that drastic injury this year from Tua, so I went Terron Armstead here at 10.
Yeah, I feel that. I do think that, like, we just heard that Armstead is working with a team-friendly deal to go back to Miami. Just because his injury history has been so crazy, he has been respected since New Orleans as a top tackle in the league, and where Tua's obviously a lefty, like you want to make sure that you have two good tackles for the way that offense works, especially, having time to throw the ball to Tyreek when he's just running aimlessly down the field. I think that's a good name, not a name I have on my list. A couple of years ago, it definitely was. At 9, another new name. Got a bunch of new names in this list, and that's why I'm so excited about the offensive lines. Lou, stand up! It's not Quentin Nelson, Big Q, Bernard Raymond. Another name that we talked about through our draft process, recognized as one of those guys that can be a swing tackle, can go on the inside, can be a left tackle, your right tackle, whatever the case may be. A lot of great play came out of Indy this year. Gardner Minshew is going to earn himself a pretty payday. Jonathan Taylor and Zach Moss were both able to run the ball effectively at points this year. Feel like getting an addition to an already well put together offensive line is a huge, huge, huge help, especially when you're not spending, a top 10 pick on a guy like this. So the fact that you can get your guy a little bit later on in the draft, still hit and have that impact, but not Raymond here at 9.
Like it. He didn't make my list, but again, there's going to be names you're going to have that I think are going to miss my list here. At 9, I have Colton Miller.
Okay.
I think Colton Miller played a great role this year. I think for the Vegas Raiders, solid at the tackle position. I think that as far as protection, I think the protection for, even though Jimmy G was banged up this year, it wasn't due to the O-line not being able to protect him. It wasn't due to his tackles being able to protect him. Aiden O'Connell had some time in the pocket to do well. I think Colton Miller had a great year this year. I have him here at 9.
Yeah, Colton Miller did have a good year. I feel like that was a good find for the Raiders. And that was at an interesting time, too, because I'm pretty sure they had Trent Brown at the time, and they were just like, now we just have, 2 tackles. And I'm pretty sure they might have just had another first-round pick that was a tackle there as well. I know that was kind of on the end of, the Mayock, Gruden type of era, bringing in Josh McDaniels and, right on that fringe. And now we're here with Antonio Pierce in their third tenure in, 4 years? That's Oakland Raiders for the Vegas Raiders for
literally.
At 8, another new name. Told you, Twan. I'm bringing the energy today.
Look at this guy.
Elgton Jenkins, guard from the Green Bay Packers. Another draft pick that's just in recent history. The Green Bay Packers had a great year this year. Made it to made it a lot further than anybody thought they would. We're minutes away from beating the San Francisco 49ers, who many thought were the favorite to win the Super Bowl. I feel like getting a young quarterback, you have to have, a sustainable and established offensive line. Guys like Bakhtiari are on the back end, so you need to get that new talent to really make a difference there. And I feel like this dude's able to do that. I think he could honestly slide out to the tackle position if it was needed, but as an interior guard, I think like they run the ball a lot, and he was put in scenarios to really be successful. Jordan Love's a good young quarterback, and we wouldn't be able to see that if he wasn't able to stay on his feet. I think that there was some growing pains that we saw early in the year. We talked about on so many different episodes the impact a wide receiver and offense can have for Green Bay going forward if they handle things properly this offseason. But continuing to build that offensive line is so important. So Elgton Jenkins.
That's a good name. Again, not on my list. I'm sure you're shocked. But at 8, I have a new name.
Okay.
Frank Ragnow.
Okay. No Ragnow.
Interior lineman for the Lions. I think the Lions as a unit offensively were one of the best offensive lines in the league. If not one, they were 2.
How many Lions do you have on this list?
2.
Okay.
Just 2. This isn't like the Eagles last year where they had 3 guys. But I think Frank Ragnow played great. You could see his run protection was great. He was good at calling things out on the line, too. Really helped make things easy for Jared Goff. I think he had a great year. One of the best offensive units. The guy right there in the middle at the center. Frank Ragnow here at 8.
Okay. I like it. I do feel like this is a guy that is – I don't want to say that he isn't getting, like, his recognition because, like, he'll get paid. He'll get a nice contract. He's in a good spot that would allow him to, really develop and grow and be a part of that offensive line. With Penei Sewell, who I'm expecting is on your list, is a guy that I'm going to talk about on my list in a little bit. But here at 7, this is where I have Tristan Wirfs. I feel like –
Don't play with the pen on camera,
guys.
Yeah.
At 7, this is where I had Tristan Wirfs. I feel like this is another guy underrated for the impact that he has for that Tampa team, honestly. Like the fact that Baker Mayfield went in there, had a career year, and now teams are fighting over him. The Atlanta Falcons, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the New England Patriots are interested. I heard, a couple of other teams too, and being able to stay in the pocket and have that opportunity to throw to a Hall of Fame receiver like Mike Evans. Chris Godwin isn't a name that we talked about a crazy amount this year, but still had a great year. And, thinking of the offense as a whole, Rachaad White was able to flourish this year. And without a guy like Tristan Wirfs, I know they have a bunch of other, offensive line talent, but this dude's a top tackle in the league, and he's really demanded that since Brady's been there. Really impressed. This is a guy that could be a little bit higher on the list, too, depending on how you value your tackles or your interior guys, but this is one of the best tackles in the league and is going to be a name that we're talking about for the next decade.
Great pick. I think you'll hear from me a little bit later regarding Tristan Wirfs, but at 7 here, I snubbed this dude real bad last year, and he was a top 5. Christian Darrisaw.
Okay.
I still think Darrisaw had a good year this year. I got him here at 7 for Minnesota. A lot of quarterback change out there, but he was really solid on that O-line. It's hard to play the tackle position, especially in that division where you got Rashawn Gary coming after you. You got Aiden Hutchin coming at you twice a year. Now Montez Sweat. He really held up well. I got Darrisaw here at 7.
I don't have Darrisaw on the list. Was a name that was in consideration for a long time. I thought that there was a lot of different things that happened in Minnesota that I felt like could have taken away from his play. I think he missed a couple of games too that shied me away from that direction. But Christian Darrisaw is one of the better tackles in this league. Another couple names on this that aren't on this list that are top offensive linemen in the NFL. Chris Lindstrom, Atlanta. That's another big name not on my list. And Ben Powers, offensive guard, not a lot of big name coming out of Denver, but that's another guy that I feel like is in this type of a conversation. 6, this guy's been around a long time, and I know that it wasn't his best year, but I honestly just feel like it's so tough to top the seasons he's had in his prime. 6 is where I have Zach Martin. I think the passing game for the Dallas Cowboys was drastically different this past year than what it was in prior years. I know that they like to run the football a little bit, but getting rid of Zeke, we saw that impacted the ground game significantly. Now there's rumors that they're interested in Saquon Barkley, which I hope that's not the case between that and the Eagles. I really feel like I'm being tortured right now. Like I feel like my toenails are literally being pulled off and just trying to get me cope with any of those decisions.
You need him in Baltimore.
I need him not in the NFC East if
Yep.
he's not going to be with the Giants. That's I don't care if he goes to fucking Vegas. I don't care if he goes to the Texans. I don't care if he goes to the Pats, honestly. Just not as a Cowboy or the Eagles. That's all I'm asking.
Would you let him rot in Washington?
No.
No.
That wouldn't do him justice, and that wouldn't I mean, I can't see that Saquon Barkley would think in his decision, hey, I'm going to go to a team the New York Giants beat up on.
Yeah,
I
know.
And they have Brian Robinson.
They got their guy. Just like fucking around.
But Zach Martin here at 6.
Love that. Zach Martin had a great season. At 6 here, I got Jason Kelce.
Okay. Wow, the disrespect is crazy.
Retired.
He don't
But
like
dude,
the Kelces.
I don't mind Jason Kelce. I like Jason Kelce. Had a great season again, year after year. This dude has a great season, and he is a driving force as to why on 4th and 1, 4th and inches, 4th and 2 even, that the Eagles get it every goddamn time. This dude just stuffs, pushes forward. He's an animal. I got him here at 6, making the rankings again. Thank you for everything you've done, Jason Kelce. Enjoy retirement.
The disrespect is really crazy.
Told you, it comes to the trenches, or specifically the offensive lineman. I'm like, I fucking...
at 5, this is where I had Penei Sewell. This is, I think, a top 3 young tackle in the NFL. I think he can make that transition to the left side seamlessly. Doesn't need to be because the Lions have a very, very good offensive line group. And, this was a guy that, should have probably been a top pick of the draft. And there were a lot of suitors that could have benefited from him. I know the Chargers were interested in Sewell at the time. This is a great, great player for the Detroit Lions. It's going to be a player that's going to be a franchise piece for a long time. And I honestly think, the way he pushes dudes around is absolutely crazy. I don't know, how, these Hawaiians come over and they're just so built and strong, but we've seen this time and time again that they're great at what they do. They come with the passion. I would say the only dude that disappointed a little bit. Who did the
Manti Te'o?
No.
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
Who did the Browns select? And the dude did a whole thing and he wore the dress thing. Dude, who was it? He had the crazy hit. When you say your pick, I'm gonna find this name. And
are you sure you're gonna not be distracted by the fact that I put this guy above Jason Kelce? At 5, Creed Humphrey.
Wow, I have Creed Humphrey high, but not above Jason Kelce.
Not
the best center in the league.
I think he played unbelievably on an offensive line that was pretty solid, but the tackles held 24/7 on that offensive line until I got to the Super Bowl, of course.
Oh my
right?
God. Here we go.
But at the end of the day, Creed Humphrey had an awesome season, one of the top centers in the league. You may not think he had the best center season. That's okay. I still think he had an awesome season. He's got to be recognized in this list. I got him here at 5. I'm a big Creed Humphrey fan, honestly. As far as Kansas City Chiefs go, I like Creed Humphrey.
So I think I found my name. Danny Shelton.
Oh, I know Danny Shelton. He played D-tackle.
Yes.
Yeah. Big fucking dude.
Yes,
yeah, he's a big dude.
But didn't have the Sewell or the Mai Tai last name or however these dudes pronounce it.
Yeah, Mylato.
He didn't have that.
Shelton.
Yeah.
Loser. Who you got at 4, Steve?
At 4, this is where I had Laramie Tunsil. This dude has a crazy story in the NFL, but look at how it all worked out for him. He has the next great young quarterback that he's protecting. I mean, this dude thought his life literally flashed before his eyes when that Bong video literally came out and
Gas mask.
Yeah, gas mask. That was a fucking bum. Yeah, but anyway, Tunsil is one of the models for the left tackle position, and this is gonna be a guy that very similar to and I know this is a crazy statement, but it's going to be a very similar career to what a Joe Thomas was for the Cleveland Browns for the Houston Texans. This was one thing that the Houston Texans did right, was going to get a guy like this after, Miami had their whole slip-up scenario that really went on. They took care of this dude, and they were patient. And that's why I'm saying, when you build teams, you can't just go and get a quarterback. Houston, to get to where they were, yeah, they had to make a lot of right decisions last year in the draft and free agency. But there was, like, Jalen Petrie, getting Laramie Tunsil, going to get Nico Collins. Like, those guys are all extremely important to all of this. So I feel like that's something that isn't appreciated enough and should be an example for other teams for years to come.
All the homies love Jeremy Tunsil. Steve at 4. This is where I have Tristan Wirfs.
Laramie Tunsil.
What I say?
Laramie
Tunsil. Tristan Wirfs, I got here at 4. Outstanding season. You said it perfectly. This Buccaneers unit was so much better than I thought it was going to be. He was a major piece on that. He doesn't get talked about enough still, and he's this 6'7" monster of a tackle that does not get beat up ever. This dude goes up against the best guys week in and week out, holds it down. I can't wait to see how much better his career continues to get because he is a top tackle, and he's been in the league for 3 years now, I think.
Yeah. I know that the Bucs won't be as successful in like the next couple of years, but to know that you still have a franchise piece there and, you know, another future Hall of Famer. You got Winfield that you just franchise tagged. Mike Evans eventually will get in the Hall. There's been a lot of success that came out of Tampa Bay, and it's been a long time since they've been able to say that. 3, this is where I have Creed Humphrey, so still a great positioning on the list. Isn't the top center on my list, but Creed Humphrey's been a standstill name for the past couple of years in the NFL. Large part to Patrick Mahomes being great is being able to stand up the way he did. We talked about his teammate Dooney, who's not on the list. I know that they've been playing, a rotating cycle at that tackle position. They brought in Jawan Taylor. I wouldn't be surprised this year if they tried to draft somebody to just try to make that a little bit more consistent going forward and make that a little bit more team-friendly too. But Creed Humphrey is a dog and should be a name that we mention every single year on this list.
Absolutely. Steve at 3. I do have Chris Lindstrom in here.
Okay.
I look at the Atlanta Falcons offensive line the same way I look at the Detroit Lions as a top unit in the league. Top 3, for sure. Chris Lindstrom's a huge part of that. Played really, really well. When they get a quarterback behind him, they're going to be in a really, really good scenario. That offensive line is going to be a key piece. Chris Lindstrom, I think, is the best player on that offensive line. You can talk about Jake Matthews at the tackle position, too. But Chris Lindstrom had an awesome season, I still think. Here at 3 for me, had to put a member of the Atlanta offensive unit in here.
Yeah. I feel that I do think that next year with some more offensive success, we might be talking about, more names on this list from that offensive line. Really homegrown, but top picks at every single one of those positions. Mm-hmm. 2 is where I have Trent Williams. You can argue that he's at 1, but I do feel like that there were some plays later in the season and in the playoffs too that I just feel like weren't his best. And I'm not going to hold that against him. This dude's still the second tackle here on my list, but I do just think that we're getting towards the back end of his career, and he's probably taken a lot of tough hits, knowing that hey, dudes are targeting you on the field, not targeting fucking tackling, but targeting hey, you're the best offensive lineman. How the hell are we gonna get past you? Mm-hmm. And he's definitely gotten roughed up a little bit, but a large part of the success in San Francisco, and he's really made a huge impact, to that ground game, that pass game, and I'm sure for Brock Purdy as well. But at 1. This is where I have Jason Kelce in a farewell tour in a play and a position that is really being questioned by rules in the tush push, right? That's not as successful of a play without any other player than Jason Kelce. I know that there's a lot of the Kelce mainstream that might make you shy away from that. I think that this is a great career coming from a dude that was a late round pick, wasn't recognized and respected for the player he was until the past couple of years. I think he has a great personality. I think he cares a lot about what he does, and he's a real foundational piece for the Eagles. He's a humble dude. I know that you probably wouldn't say that as much about Travis, but Jason Kelce and his approach, he says he would never consider himself as the best Eagle all time when he lined up against Fletcher Cox and would get beat by him daily on the practice field. Loved his approach, love his intensity, love his personality off the field, love, respect, and a blessing retirement to Jason Kelce here at 1 on my offensive line, and that's how you do it.
An all-time great.
Yeah,
100%.
That's how you do it.
He's
Twan,
an all-time
not at
great.
fucking 5.
Listen, you can have it. You can have it. I don't need to take
Stop it. Fugazi.
At 2, I got Penei Sewell here too. I think he had an awesome season. I think he's got more to build on too. Not in the sense that he hasn't been able to produce, but he's one of the best tackles in this league. He also catches the fucking ball, which is insane. So
could be top 3 in this list.
Could
no
be
doubt.
top 3. He's a stud. I got him here too. I think he's an absolute animal. If he moves to the left side, I can see him being 1 at some point in his career. But at 1, I have Trent Williams, the guy who I think is the best offensive lineman in the league. Had him at 2 last year because I was so impressed with the Lane Johnson stats, not letting up a sack and being hurt all year, so it was insane. But I got Trent Williams here at 1. I think he's the best offensive tackle. I don't know how much longer we're going to be able to be talking about Trent Williams too. His career is going to be coming to an end soon.
Yeah.
Don't know when that's going to be, but he has been also an all-time great. Trent Williams here at 1, Penei Sewell at 2.
For sure. And another guy like that's going to be a name of his own in like that Joe Thomas like type of a conversation. Guy that I usually have in this list, hometown guy, New York Giant, Andrew Thomas, wasn't on my list.
Just missed mine.
Yeah, and look, like I'm just trying to be transparent with you guys. I could have easily put him in here. But missing 6-7 games, Giants sucking. I know Saquon still had like a good season, but like there's just a lot more that goes into that. So giving you the best, the fairest in the offensive line rankings. You guys know the deal. Continue listening to the Positional Rankings Series and the rest of the content we have coming out to you guys. Slanging a bunch of reaction videos on the social media. Make sure you guys are following along on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. You guys know the deal. Peace, love, 5 stars, nothing less.